Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. And now, here are Bob and Richard.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. My name is Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Our guest today is Advantage Gambling Free Spirit, Mickey Crimm. Although I've never met Mickey personally, this is the third time he's been on the show. Previously, he has shared how he vultures the bars in Montana, has been known to drink to excess on occasion. For transportation, sometimes he'd hop trains to travel from city to city. I'm looking forward to hear how much of his gambling life is the same and how much has changed. Mickey Crimm, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Richard. How you guys doing?
Good to have you back again.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Are you still spending most of your time in Montana?
Oh, I would say about half the time. In the last 2 years, I've gone out of state quite a bit, and I've visited in the last 2 years. I would say approximately 200 casinos in the Northwest, Midwest, Upper Midwest, the South, and the Southwest of the United States.
And is that mostly driving? Are you putting all those miles?
All driving. It's all driving. Yeah, I put. I think last year I put 55,000 miles on my car.
Oh, that's less than I would have guessed. Actually, it sounded like even more than that.
Did you ever make it down?
I got a new one now because a new used car, because I usually buy cars about 10 years old in the 5,000-6,000 range, but I got rear-ended in Oklahoma early February, had to make a beeline back to Montana. I knew they were going to total it, so I had to buy a new car and settle with the insurance company and all that. And I got back to Montana just in time for the big freeze out in February, where it was stayed below zero most of the month and snowing sideways the whole time, too. So had a lot of fun with that.
Other than making your life a bit miserable, is that good or bad for business insofar as vulturing slots?
I get out. It doesn't matter what the weather is. I just get out in it. My car is all winter. I always keep the car winterized, and it doesn't matter what it is because the bar casinos are open no matter what the weather is, and I'm out working it. The weather is not a factor.
All right. So when last time you described your play in Montana at small bars with machines that are a bit different than they are in the other cities around the country. Is that still the case, or the machines
no, that's
up to the 21st century? Or
there are some games that you take like the IGT game, Three Kings. That's in Montana. There are some games that are in Montana, especially now that Spelo and IGT have merged, because Spelo has been in Montana for years. IGT has been there too, but they've always been a minor player in the market. As a matter of fact, they're the smallest player in the market, but since they merged with Spelo, some of those IGT games have come to Montana.
Now,
the stuff. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do the bars send you any kind of mailers, or is this just about progressives and?
If I was to join their slot clubs, yes, they would, but I won't join them. You can get 0.25%, 0.5% cash back and monthly free play mailers, but they don't have slot cards in the machines. They track you from a mainframe computer when you go into a casino. And when I go into one of these casinos, I got to check a lot of machines, and some of them I have to put money in to check it. So I put the money in and cash out, move to the next machine. I'm cashing out. I might be cashing out a half dozen tickets without even playing. And if I join the slot club and they have to log me into that machine every time and then log me out, I don't want to expose myself like that to start with, and it'd be a big pain for the employees. So I don't join the slot clubs. And I also I don't want to show a small wager with a big win, and that's all they're going to see from me. Small wager, big win. And my coin in is going to be small. My coin out is going to be big. And so I don't want them to see that. So I don't join any of the slot clubs because of that, or for the reasons that I've listed.
So you used to do that full time, and now you do it about half time, and you're around the country the rest of the time?
Well, I always had to give Montana. I always have to give the towns soak time. Once I go into a town and I knock everything down in the casinos, I got to let the Plotty action build the meters or the banking features back up. So that town is no good to me. I just move on to the next town, and it's like a 2-month revolving circle. And so I got plenty of time to go out of state and do these other things while Montana is soaking. And I'm on my way back to Montana now. It'll take me a few weeks to knock everything down in the state.
And
so are these mostly must-hit buys?
No, must-hit buys are very small. The must-hit plays are hard to come by. They don't play much of a role in my income. You know, I'm working in Montana. It's mostly video keno progressives and banking games, which are totally different. You don't find these games. You won't find them in Nevada. You won't find them in California or Mississippi or New Jersey, any of those markets. It's pretty much Montana specific. And they got big meters on them, running 4%, 5%, stuff like that, and you just don't see that in the big markets. And there's one company I know of that makes some of these games, Summit Gaming. I think they're out of Billings, Montana. But you won't see any Summit machines in Nevada that I know of, or Mississippi or New Jersey or California, or these other markets. You know, I've been in 200 casinos in the last 2 years. I haven't seen a Summit machine yet, except I take that back. I did see some down in Louisiana. That's right. In South Louisiana, down on I-10. I've seen just a few of them. And those machines, I get, there's a few games on there that I exploit that, you know, and they're just not out in the rest of the country.
So when you're outside of Montana, is it still a very small percentage of must-hit buys you're playing, or are there more, places, or is there more than that?
Well, must-hits, the meters, the problem with the United States, if I was in Australia, I'd be playing them every day like Peter Liston. But Peter Liston was handed, he was handed a gift on a silver platter. He's got must-hits over there with 5 and 6% meters on them, you know, and they're starting at $20,000. That's huge on a must-hit, 5-6% meters. That never occurred in the United States. When they first come out, the first time I played them was in Mandalay Bay when they opened. I think that was 1998. The biggest meter in there was like 2%, you know. And then when you look at the meters on all the must-hits in the casinos today, you know, where a 5% meter, every dollar in action will raise it a nickel. Okay, well, you take a 10K must-hit, it takes $6.67 in action, $6.67 in action on a typical one just to raise the meter 1 penny. You know, so there's a huge difference in what you can play over in Australia and New Zealand compared to the United States.
Do you ever get to Oklahoma?
Yeah, I just left down there. I was down at WinStar. I stopped in. They send me a couple days comp every month. I made a few other stops, but WinStar is, to me, it's not a good vulture stop, but they've got some pretty good video poker in there. And they send me 2 days a month comp, and and I take advantage of it. I stop in, I play $96 dollar not so ugly deuces. But they also have 9-6 jacks available, and both of them are on the same meter, and the progressive meter is running 0.5%. And so, you know, I've stopped in there 4 or 5 times. So far, the roll's been somewhere between 4,500 and 5,800 when I get there. So it's not a huge edge, but I'm not playing a deficit. and they give me a meal comp or two, and I'll just stop. I'm running a vulture route. I'll drop down from Montana down to New Mexico and then across Oklahoma, and I'm generally vulturing video line games, but WinStar and Southern Oklahoma down there on the Texas border is a video poker stop. And the same thing in Durant, Oklahoma, the Choctaw Casino Durant, in their sports bar, they got 9.6 jacks progressive with 0.5% meter. And there's $2 machines in there that are 9.6 jacks triple meters. It's 0.5% on the royal flush, 0.25% on the straight flush, and 0.25% on the quads. And that's the two machines I play. And I've yet to walk in there and see someone else playing either one of those two machines. And I've been to that place several times. I know other people play it, but go ahead.
I was just going to ask you. You used the term video line games. I'm not familiar with that term.
Well, you guys call them penny slots. Yeah. In Montana, they're called line games.
Okay.
Video line games. Yeah. And that's because they got so many lines on them. You know, they got 20, 30, 40, 50. Some of them even have 100 lines. And so that the term I know is line games, but the same thing as the penny slots, except the term penny slots is deceiving. You know, they got them where you can bet $8, $9 a spin. And so
you used to sometimes play poker, live poker, as opposed to video poker. Do you still do that?
Live games, I have a hard time sitting in live games today because I just get a bigger hourly rate off the machines. And, you know, I figure I'm worth about, in a 1-2 no-limit games, I say a typical no-limit game, not a rock-down game. I absolutely won't sit down in a rock-down game. But I might be worth $25 an hour, and I make like 3 times that off the machines. I have a Boveda account, and I'll play a little zone poker on it, not for high stakes, very, very small. And I've tried to beat the 1-2 no limit on Boveda. Now, the zone poker on Boveda, as soon as you fold your hand, boom, you moved into another hand quickly. So you're looking at like 250 hands an hour. And
wow.
But I can't beat the 1-2 on there. The 1-2 no limit. The players are too tough, so I backed off of that. And I mainly stick with the 25-50, sometimes 51. But because you're looking at so many hands an hour, it's equivalent to like playing in a 3-6 no limit game with 3-6 blinds.
So if they keep changing whenever you fold, then there must be a lot of
nobody can get a read on
anybody.
Your name on Boveda, your name is not known, and no one can get a read on anybody. So it's just an automatic steal when if it's folded around to you and you're around back, it's just automatic steal. Raise to steal, open raise. It's automatic. The players don't know you. They don't know who you are, and they got no track record on you. So it's just automatic. And really, if you don't do that, then you'll just get blinded off in 6-handed game. You pretty much have to do it.
Okay. In the past, you sometimes spoke about you would ride freight trains from city to city. And you had some hair-raising stories. It was pretty dangerous life.
Yeah.
Do you still do that?
No, I haven't ridden a freight train since 1996. Gambling took me out of all of that, out of the homeless drifter lifestyle. Totally took me out of it. I've never gone back to it. And I have an apartment I share in Montana with a friend, and I stay in hotels everywhere I go. I drive. When I got back legal to drive, because I was revoked for a lot of years, before I got back legal to drive and my gambling career took off, then I took trains, planes, buses, and all of that. I never went back to riding trains, thumbing interstates, and all that. But I can tell you how the track, the UP track that runs through Las Vegas, I can tell you a little bit about it because I've ridden it many times.
Okay.
That track comes up from Southern California, passes through Las Vegas, up to Salt Lake City and Ogden. Ogden is the key point. Then it breaks east and runs across southern Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, and into Chicago, Illinois. Now, those trains that you see passing through Las Vegas, it's got those stackers, containers sitting one on top of the other. Those were the ride. And in the back, they call the tubs they're sitting in, they're called 48s. And a lot of them have a steel floor, so you look for one with a steel floor in the back. Now, the trains always would stop. They would pull the first locomotive across Charleston. You're right off of Charleston in Maine. They pull the first locomotive on a mile-long train. It would stop, and they would do a crew change. Now, the crew is the engineer and conductor. They get off, another set gets on, and the train takes off. It's only stopped for a few minutes, so you have to jump on the train real fast. So you have to be somewhere south of Charleston along the track. And when that train stops, you have to move fast to get on it before they take off. And those trains, those stacker trains, they're called hot shots. And the main reason why is because they have the green light on the track from Southern California all the way to Chicago. All the other trains have to get out of their way. And the reason why is because they're carrying cargo, and that cargo is only protected by a government seal, easily broken. And when the train is stopped, it's subject to theft. So they get the green light. So when you jump on those hot shots, you're going somewhere fast. And I've ridden it not quite all the way to Chicago, but into Iowa, and back the other way, too, from Wyoming back down into Vegas. And then many jumps between Salt Lake and Ogden. Now, Ogden is just north of Salt Lake. It's a key point on the track because you got a cross track there, and you can jump trains going north, south, east, or west out of Ogden, where you can't do that in Vegas. That's just a north-south track is all.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like something out of another time.
Yeah, and here's something that freight tramps know that I don't think the average citizen knows. If you go in a public library, you go to the Business Atlas, find the railroad map of the United States, run it over to the printer, and copy yourself off a copy. And that's what freight tramps use to guide them along the tracks in the United States. I don't think the average citizen knows that.
So how recently do you play in Nevada? Do you play here much anymore?
No, I stopped in Wendover last year. I stopped in Wendover. Oh, they got some vultures there, but it's like watching paint dry. They don't have enough. And the comp system has all changed. When I was there in 2006, 2007, I was playing the IGT Video Blackjack for the comp, which is the IGT Video Blackjack is the full pay version, 100% game. So it's break even, and I was getting 0.8% comp. So I got a total free ride. I homesteaded that place. I got free hotel rooms, free meals, free everything. That's all gone. And I know why it's gone is because a couple of years after I moved to Montana, I put it up on BP Free what I was doing in Wendover, and some of those guys went out there and torched it. They took the free flights in. You could use your comp dollars for flights in and out, all of that stuff. And some of them went in there and torched it up pretty good. When I was there, I was the only one doing it. So, I got away with it. But it's no longer there. The video poker, at the Wendover Nugget, I was way over-rolled in that place. I hit rolls from progressive rolls at $0.96 jacks, $1.96 jacks. And I even hit two $20,000 rolls on the $5 NSUD in there. Way over-rolled in that place while I was there. Well, all of that's gone. And the poker room, they're down to just the Peppermill properties had 2 rooms that went fairly strong. And now they're just down to one room, and it's mostly one game a day. So there's nothing really there to hold me. There's not enough money making potential. Then last fall, Harris sent me a 4-day package to Harris in Laughlin, and I hadn't been to Laughlin since 2002. I flew down and I ran a little action in the Riverside and the Aquarius. And they keep sending me room comps and all this, but there's all the video poker progressives are gone. All the games I used to beat, like Full Pay Deuces Wild and Flush Attack, all of that is gone. There's just nothing there, and so I haven't returned, and I don't think I will be. And
why is it you avoid Vegas?
Because in Vegas, there's too many hustlers in Vegas. I think Bob could probably tell you how many times when he was playing the UXs in 2015, how many times he's seen people coming through there checking the UXs for plays. There's just too much competition from other guys, and it's long walks in and out of those casinos on the Strip. You know, where I'm used to in Montana. You know, I'm 20 feet from the door when I park my car. No more than 20 feet from the door. And, you know, just like walking into Caesar's Palace or walking into Bellagio, it's a long walk in. You might get some plays, you might not. There's competition in there from other players, and then it's a long walk out. You know, and I'm not 30 years old anymore. I don't like all that walking.
Well, and now, you know, parking is an issue too, because most places are charging for parking.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. Yeah, that would definitely be a problem for me. You know, I would probably have to take, you know, use the city bus system to get in and out of there. But it doesn't interest me at all. I do find, you know, in the places that I do play that are not overrun with a lot of other guys doing it, little competition. That's why I like the hinterlands where I'm a diamond in the rough. There's just not that many hustlers there. You know, like New Mexico and Oklahoma and South Dakota, the upper Midwest, like northern Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, places like that, Oregon. I much prefer those, and I've always liked wide open spaces anyway, so I kind of stick to the wide open spaces.
Do you find a difference in the games offered by Native American casinos versus, I don't know what the other term is. American casinos, what would you call it?
I call them Indian casinos, but Native American might be more politically correct. But the main difference
what would you call the non-Native Americans, like Caesars or something? They were just regular casinos, or Native American, or Indian? What do you do? I'm looking for another term, but doesn't matter. All right, so Indian casinos versus non-Indian casinos. How do they differ in what you do?
Well, in the Indian casinos, especially Oklahoma, you got Class 2 and Class 3 in them. And the Class 2 machines, I've never found a play on a Class 2 machine, you know, something that could be at advantage. There are illusions they put up that it could be, but they've never panned out. And but they do have Class 2. They started with Class 2, and then they were allowed Class 3. But the Class 3 machines, I find no difference in the play of the Class 3 machines in the Indian casinos as opposed to I would call them legal jurisdictions, where the non-Native American casinos. I don't see any difference in them, and I make money on the ones. I make money in the Native American casinos. I make money in the legal jurisdictions. I don't see any difference in the. You know, they're by the same manufacturers, by IGT, WMS, Konami, you know, Ainsworth, the same manufacturers as what you see in Nevada or Mississippi or New Jersey.
In Las Vegas, the casinos have started throwing out a lot of slot players. Are you running into that in other parts of the country?
No, absolutely not. No heat at all. And the reason that's going on in Las Vegas is because they're overrun with them. And that's the reason I avoid Las Vegas is they're just overrun with hustlers. In the old days, we called each other hustlers, guys that work machines. And Vegas is just overrun with guys working the machines. And I remember a case at the Ramada in Laughlin, when they had those Silicon Gaming Odyssey machines, the one game Buccaneer Gold, well, when you would punch their machines, the volume was turned all the way up on them. There's 6 machines. And when they would punch up that Buccaneer Gold, you would hear da, 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 across the whole casino. And a guy would go down the line punching it up on every one, so you got like an echo, da, 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 like that. And a security guard would pounce right on the guy and throw him out. And because the guy's just tired of hearing that da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So, they just got, it can become a nuisance to casino personnel when they got so many slot hustlers under one roof. I get no heat anywhere I go. I haven't seen any heat yet. In Native American and illegal jurisdictions.
Well, good for you. You mentioned a couple times you get these offers, and in the first part of the show you said you rarely use a slot code card, so clearly you must use a slot code card enough to get some offers.
That's in Montana. I don't use them. Out of state, I use them. Yeah. Yeah, I use them. There's no point not to. I take the cash or the free play. Then one of my tricks on the free play is I run it off on the vulture plays, $5 or $10 at a time, so I capture the whole value of it because I'm playing an advantage in these vulture games. I think my average edge is somewhere between 15 and 20%, and so I run the free play off $5 or $10 at a time to make sure I get all of it, and I don't have to run it off on a video poker game or a video blackjack game like that. But I do get a lot of free play out of the casinos that are not in Montana. And I've got a stack of cards in the car. I got them all rubber band up, depending on what state and all that. Then I pull them out. But it's a different setup, and they're probably seeing. I'm just one person where they got thousands of customers, and I don't think there's anybody going over everyone's slot card account looking to see who's making a profit and who ain't. And even if they do see it, people get lucky. So.
Well, and also your profit is spread among 200 casinos, so.
Yeah, that's true too.
At any one casino, you really aren't winning that much. I mean, unless you get over-roiled in one place, like you said. And
yeah. Well, that's right, and I'm not taking a whole lot of W2Gs.
Right.
Like video poker players do, especially high denom video poker players. And I cash out in the kiosks. I don't meet casino hosts. I don't try to milk the comp system for all that it's worth. I just take whatever they offer me and nothing more. I don't call up a host and say, hey, can I get a comp to the steakhouse? Stuff like that. If they send me 2 days a month in the mail, I'll take the 3 days. If there's a meal comp included, I'll take the meal comp, but I don't go asking for discretionary comp.
So you want to stay as low under the radar as you can.
Yeah, I don't want to be a nuisance to them. I don't want to be high maintenance, like some players are.
Yeah, some players make it. It's an art form.
Yeah.
Now, do you usually work by yourself, or do you have a team?
Yeah, totally by myself. I work totally by myself. I don't like partnering up. I don't like commitments. I like to come and go as I please. I don't own an alarm clock. I wake up when I want to get up. I come and go as I please, and that's the way I want to keep it. I never even liked doing a saver. I did a saver one time with a guy. We were on a Royal Progressive. He goes, you want to do a saver? Let's do a saver at 10%. And I go, okay. Well, now then I was obligated to play. And I don't care if the number's jack sky high. If I'm tired and I want to leave, I just leave. You know, there'll always be another one down the road. I never liked marathon playing video poker anyway, 10, 12 hours. Never liked it. You know, when I played flush attack, it's like average seat time on one machine is 20 minutes. You know, and then I'm up to the next machine. 10 machine bank would take like 2 hours. But I'm moving quite a bit. I'm not sitting there getting sleepy and all that kind of stuff. And so I never was in the Royal Progressives where you got to sit there for hours and hours and hours until the Royal goes. I used to play at Calneva. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Calneva.
Oh, at the Calneva in Reno, they had multi-game progressives in there, video poker progressives with 1.5% and 2% meters. And the best game was 9-6 Jack. And then everybody would pounce on it as a quarter-level game, and everybody would pounce on it at 2,300. And I liked that because there were 10 machines. You got 10 machines. Every player is skilled. Everyone's cranking out 1,000 hands an hour, and they're all using a roll aggressive strategy. Produces a roll about every 33,000 hands. So you got 10 machines running 1,000 hands an hour. So the roll, you know, you're looking average seat time about 3.5 hours. And that kind of video poker play I enjoy because I hit the roll, or they hit the roll, and then we're all gone. You're not and you're not tied up for 10, 15, 20 hours. I enjoyed those kind of races. And I used to play quad races at Tahoe where they had a 6.5 Jacks, $1.65 Jacks triple meter. No, it wasn't 6.5 Jacks. It was 6.5 bonus poker. So they had a 1% meter on the generic quads, 1% meter on the small quads, 1% meter on the aces. And my key was 200. When the generic quad meter got to 220, I would jump into action. Other people would too, and it was a quad race. Now this was back in the late 90s, and you had to feed coins in, but the machine held credits. So you had to buy tokes from the bartender, fast feed the coins in, get some credits built up, and then go to playing. And it was a quad race. You know, I think the frequency on generic quads is like 600, 610, something like that. And you got 4 or 5 players there racing for that quad, you know, and that plays over with pretty quick. I either hit it or they hit it, and then we all go on about our business. We even one time, the meter got up. We could see the meter from the poker room. We're in a 10-20 game. And, you know, and there's hustlers, there's machine hustlers in the poker game, and we're watching that meter. And when it got up, they stopped the poker game for us and sat there. And we all went to the bar, played till we hit that quad, till one of us hit the quad, and then went back and they started the poker game back up. That's how nice they were to us.
Yeah, that was nice for you.
Yeah.
So you're pretty active on Twitter, and you get a fair amount of flack because other hustlers, you know, think you're revealing too much.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, what's your feeling about that?
Well, I agree with Michael Shackelford. He said about it that, you know, these guys are saying, well, now that I know about it, everyone shut up.
Right.
You know, and that's pretty much what it is. Now that I know, everyone shut up about it. Because they wouldn't know anything if somebody hadn't told them something. They didn't learn machine plays on their own.
Right.
You know, and you know, I kind of like to teach the stuff. I don't tell everything I know, but it's kind of hard for me to keep from you know, giving my take on plays.
Well, also, you know, I started out as a blackjack player, and there were other blackjack players who never told anybody anything. Any game they found was a secret that, you know, they would tell you absolutely nothing. And I would get flack because I would share information with other people. And, I mean, it's just a different general philosophy, but I felt like, you know, the more I share, the more I get back in return.
Yeah,
and,
that can be part of it, yeah.
You know, so, I mean,
well,
I don't know.
I do trade information with guys, you know, behind the scenes, direct messaging. You know, that goes on, and you know, but there's the ones that thank me for putting up the information I put up, and then there's the ones that tell me to shut up. You know, so
well,
I don't know, but I do have friends, you know, that like I don't want to cause a friend a loss of income because of anything I put out there. So I don't tell everything I know.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to find out what else Mickey knows right after a few commercials.
Okay.
The South Point has more than 10,000 games, returning more than 99%. This is more than anyone else has. In April, the promotion is free buffets. On Mondays through Thursdays, earn 300 points by 1 p.m. and get a free lunch buffet. If you do that and earn an additional 300 points prior to 8 p.m., you get a free dinner buffet. If you do not earn the 300 points prior to 1 p.m., but earn 600 points prior to 8 p.m., you earn a dinner buffet. You get the vouchers from the kiosk for these buffets. You do not have to use them the same day you collect them, but they all expire on Thursday, May 2nd. Also, if you have enough vouchers, you may treat several others in addition to yourself. If you have provided the South Point with your email address, you receive bonuses every weekend in April. It's too late to get the bonus this month if you don't already have it, but they do this 2 or 3 times a year, so if you live close to the South Point, it's worth it to provide your email address. At videopoker.com, it's the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the Gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Hot Roll Poker. This is a 10 coins per line game where 1 time in 6 you get a multiplier. The value of the multiplier is determined by a pair of virtual dice. If the dice rolls a 2 and a 5, for example, you receive a 7x multiplier. The multiplier sometimes comes on the deal and sometimes on the draw, but not both. There are no strategy variations for this game compared to the base game, and the hot roll feature is even money, meaning the dice roll adds no EV, but it does add variance. All right, we are talking to Mickey Crimm. On past shows, Mick, you said that sometimes you would play and drink until you went broke, and then you would go get a day job for a day or 6 or 3 weeks until you got enough bankroll again, and then you would go gamble and drink until you went broke, and then you would repeat until you get old, I guess. So are you on that same cycle?
No, I haven't had a drink in over 2 years now. You know, I had.
Congratulations.
The last time I was on GWAE, I think it was about 6 months. I think that was September 2017, and you even asked me about, you know, summer and winter. You're off in the summertime, but what about the winter? Well, I'm over 2 years. I'm in my 26th month, and I really don't even think about it anymore. I don't miss the hangovers.
Huh.
And, you know, and I had said on the last interview that I succeeded despite my alcoholism. Well, yeah, I did, but not as good as I could have. I lost a ton of productivity to the days I was drinking and also the days it took me to recuperate from the drinking. I could lose a whole week on a drinking binge and then the recuperating time. And since I quit drinking in 2 years, my income has doubled the last 2 years, pretty much doubled.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And that's because I'm spending all my time, you know, I call it work and stuff like that, but it's not really that much of work unless you get in a spot like Las Vegas where you have to do a ton of walking. At my age, I don't care for all that walking anymore, but, you know, I visit casinos where that's what retirees do. And so that end of it is kind of fun. And going in and doing the treasure hunt, you know, I'm looking for certain things on machines. You know, I'm looking for advantage plays. And so that end of it is kind of fun, and it's fun generating a nice income. But in the old days, what Bob was talking about, that was going on from 92 till 96. I was rotating back and forth. I was in Vegas in the wintertime. Usually I'd come down in the fall as soon as the weather breaks. And then would have to clear out in the spring when the weather got too hot. That was usually late April. And I would jump a train up to Salt Lake, and then I would work day labor. That's just where you go into a day labor office. You go out, you work for the day, and the guy pays you at the end of the day. And there are some spots in day labor where you just don't need a regular job because you'll get out every day you want to work. And when the weather would warm up, I would go up into towns like Jackson, Wyoming, Frisco, Colorado, Aspen, Colorado, Glenwood Springs, Breckenridge, Colorado, even all the way over to Colorado Springs. And then I would take the money, I would go into the mountain gambling towns like Deadwood, Cripple Creek, Black Hawk, and later on Albuquerque. And they were playing a game called 1 to 5, 7-card stud, high-low split, 8 or better in these mountain towns. And I started out playing the game. I couldn't beat it. And then I found a couple of good books on the game by Andy Nelson in the Fort Collins, Colorado library. And I learned how to play the game, and I got to where I could beat the game. But I had a problem. I would blow the money playing sucker video poker, drinking, carrying on, all that, and just blow the money down to. And then I would go back to this 1 to 5 stud high low game. The $20 buy-in, I might have only 4 or 5 buy-ins on me. And when I would get in a bad run, I wind up broke. I'd have to go back to the day labor office and work a few days to get some money to get back in the game. And that was like a revolving cycle for me for like 4 years.
How did you discover that video poker could be beat?
Reading Lenny Fromm articles in Card Player magazine was my first clue. And now my first machine play wasn't video poker. It was a game called Piggy Bankin. It was a slot game made by Williams. And I picked up on it quite by accident at Harris down in Laughlin. And that gave me the money to invest in the video poker. And Full Pay Deuces Wild was the first game I learned. And they had it at Gold River back then. And on Thursdays, it was 1% cash back. Fridays was 0.2%. So I only played on those 2 days. And I played those piggy banking machines the rest of the days. And then I got wind that there was some Full Pay Deuces Wild progressives up in Mesquite. So I go up to Mesquite and I found 2 banks of Full Pay Deuces Wild progressive with 0.5% meters on them. And I got in a good run and I hit 3 rolls, $4,600 worth of rolls in 3 weeks. And that was my first good run in video poker. And then I learned flush attack. I read a Lenny Fromm article on flush attack, but that was for the link banks. But then I read a Doug Rule article in Video Poker Times about the unlinked version of flush attack. And I graduated from linked flush attack to unlinked, and it was a much better play. And I played those mainly across northern Nevada. And it was worth in the right spots like Tahoe and Elko and Minden at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden. It was worth about $5,000 a month. And it didn't require much bankrolling. You got a 2K bankroll, you're good to go. The way sweeping through the machines, like I've described to people, just took all the variance out of it. And so you just didn't need much bankroll. And I don't think I ever had a losing month playing the game. Huh. But I used this piggy banking game. I found out quite by accident. I was really broken. I was coming down from the wintertime. It was October 1996, coming down out of Washington. And I'm hitchhiking, and I made it to Tehachapi. Spent the night in my sleeping bag alongside the freeway. Got up next morning, went and bought a cup of coffee at a convenience store. Come back to the on-ramp. I counted up the money in my pocket. I got like 99 cents. And, you know, and I'm trying to make it into Vegas because I know how to credit hustle the machines. Well, the guy stopped. He said he's going to Bullhead City, and I said, can you drop me off in Laughlin? He said, sure. So he dropped me off above Harris. And I'm just going in Harris to credit hustle. And I get in there after about an hour. I picked up $4 or $5, and I see another credit hustler. And I struck up a conversation with him, and he was a busted-out blackjack player that came in on a flight. And he told me that some local taught him how to hustle the credits, you know, until, you know, his flight went back the next day. And then he said he also showed me the pigs, too. And I go, the pigs? What are the pigs? He said, it's a slot machine that the locals are beating. And I said, show them to me. So he marched me over, showed me the machines, and I automatically noticed two guys with buckets sitting back watching the tourists play this game. And when the tourists would walk off, one of them would walk up with their bucket and start. Tourists would be betting 2 coins, but these hustlers would only be betting 1 coin until they broke the bank. There was a break the bank symbol on the 5th reel or 3rd reel. When it landed, they got all the coins in the bank. This game was progressive. It started with 10 coins in the bank. Every time the machine caught blanks, which is every 10 or 11 spins, it would put 2 coins in the bank. Well, the bank would keep going up, 20 coins, 30 coins, 40 coins, 50 coins. And the tourists would run out of credits and walk off, and one of these guys would come in when it's on like 50, bet 1 coin at a time till they break the bank, cash out, bucket up them quarters, and go back and grab a seat and watch them play some more. So I knew that was how it went down. I knew how the play worked. I figured it out right off the bat. But I didn't have any money. So I took off upriver, and I go through, Gold River, Golden Nugget, Pioneer, Colorado Bell. It's a few hours later, and I walked into the Edgewater, and now I'm up to $23. And a lady is on this, there's a Piggy Bankin machine there. It's on 65. Her husband walks up to her and says, honey, we got cash out. We got to get on the bus. Time to go. And she left, so I plopped down in the seat. I got $23. I mean, I'm debating whether I should play the machine or not because I could go broke. But, you know, I just said, well, if I go broke on this machine, I'll just start back over credit hustling. So I dropped a quarter in it and broke the bank on the first spin of the first pig I ever played. And that ran my bankroll up to $38. And I go, man, there's something to these piggy banking machines. So they had about 50 of them up and down the river. And for the next few days, I just, you know, I was still credit hustling, but I played those pigs when I caught them at 50 or higher. And it was like 2 days later, I was up over $300. I checked into a hotel, checked into Harris. And then it was the same day I got to play on a dollar pig. The dollars were risky, you know, with low bankroll, I figured. But I had like $350 on me, and then I beat the first dollar when I played. Had 54 coins in it, broke the bank in like 5 spins, and I just got the whole thing just snowballed. It was like a week later I had $1,200 in my pocket. A month later I had $5,000, and that's when I decided, you know, to start studying video poker. And I went up to Gambler's General Store up in Las Vegas, and I bought everything on the shelf that they had out then. You know, the Good Bucks, Dancer, Paymar, Scott. Bought all that and took the study in video poker.
Now,
and I never looked back. I went from hobo to professional gambler like overnight. Didn't even have any money to start.
And you went back again for a while. Yeah. I'm glad you ended up on the right side of that. Now, apparently, you have some Twitter followers, and you taught them how to play Harley Davidson. And
I think there's something that picked up on my strategy. Yeah, I put it up on Twitter. Yeah.
And what is your Twitter handle?
Mickey Crimm.
What a surprise. Yeah. So So now Harley Davidson, most people know that strategy by now, or enough people do that it's harder to find them in good conditions. Is that correct?
Yeah, but the Harleys are being taken out everywhere. It's a dying play. And so, that's what happens to machines. The Harleys don't get as much action as other machines, and they will change it. They just change the skin on the machine to something else. Most of the Harleys get changed to Fort Knox. And there's probably only a third of the amount of Harleys left in the country that there were at one time.
So if somebody looked at your Mickey Crimm Twitter feed, what else would they find out other than Harley Davidson?
Well, I've been working on Buffalo Diamond here recently, and that's a game that's linked. All the machines, I think, are linked together nationally because the progressive has gone up like $300,000 in the last 3 weeks. So and when you find it, it's not in every casino. When you find it, it's usually just a 4-machine carousel. But I'm still working on that game. I need a much bigger sample space than what I got, and I just take stats off the machine. I wish I knew how to deconstruct slot machines like Shackelford does, but that's just too far above my head. The only way I can figure them out is I just have to collect stats.
Yeah, but a $300,000 progressive, that sounds way over.
It starts at $500,000. It's gone up $300,000.
That seems
close.
way
It's at $780,000. Huh?
That seems way outside of your bankroll.
Oh, I'm not playing for the progressive. It's just on there. I'm not playing for the main progressive. And by the way, the Harleys had a progressive on them too. Not every bank, but the progressive is on there. $780,000 last time I seen it. But I'm not playing for that progressive. I'm playing for the progressive free games. It banks free games on 3 different levels. And these are plays that are like when you catch one with like 40 free spins in the 2 times meter, you play for it. Or if you catch one with 100 free spins in the 3 times meter, you play for it. So you're talking like on the 2 times meter, you're talking 10-minute play. And then you get off the machine because it'll reset to just 7 free games. And as the ploppies give it action, the number keeps going up. So the money on the game is in playing for those progressive free games once they reach a certain level. But it's kind of nice to have a big number up there in the grand progressive. It's called the grand. But, the odds are like millions to 1 of hitting it. But it's kind of nice having one of those on a machine, on a type of advantage slot machine that I play.
Well, yeah, it attracts people. And,
of
course, you can't help yourself dreaming what you would do if you earned $800,000, how that would change your life. That might change your life a little bit.
Well, to a certain extent, yeah.
You sent us a note about the River Dragon 5K series by AGS.
AGS. I don't know if you guys have seen those machines.
Yep. Yeah, I have.
I have.
You seen them? Yeah, those machines always run to the top. And now you can't say that 100%, but you can say it 99 and 44 100% of the time that 5K meter is going to run to 49.90 at least before it hits. And we've, I've networked with a lot of guys. We've traded information all over the country, and it always runs to the top. And the same thing with the 500 meter. It always 99 and 44 100% of the time it's going to run to 490 or higher. So people are not aware of this, can get themselves in a trap by playing low numbers. And this game is made by I think it's called American Gaming Systems, AGS. And they skirt around the law by making it, it is eligible to hit on every coin in, but it doesn't have the same odds. It's weighted to the point to where they won't hit until they get to the top. But every once in a blue moon, we get a report of one hitting early. You know, someone's seen a recreational player hit it. But you have to play them. If you're trying to play with an advantage, you have to play them figuring they're going to run to the top, which means it has to be very close. I personally won't play a River Dragon or one of its variants until it's at 49-30, which means I've had exactly one play because people will jump on them before then. And that's a problem with the 5Ks and the 10Ks is must-hits is the competition out there. And there's even crews running around the country playing the 10Ks mostly. That they're playing a number so low, and this is another thing is they're not guessing at the payback percentage of the machine. They know exactly what the payback is on that machine, and they got tricks to get it. And the easy trick is to ask to activate the speed stop, and if they do, they got to go into the screens, and you'll see the payback percentage. And then they can use a trick like they'll put $200 in the machine, then tell the floor attendant, I put $300 in the machine and only gave me $200 in credits. They got to go into the machine. You'll get to see the payback. So they know these elite crews they got big bankroll. It takes big bankroll to play 10K must-hits because of the variance. It's huge variance. But they know the exact payback of that machine. And so once they know the exact payback, it's easy to determine what the 10K meter is worth. Like you take a typical Ainsworth 10K meter that starts at $9,000, and it takes $6.67 to move that meter 1 penny, which is about that's equivalent to 1.5 tenths progressive meter. Very, very slow meter. The meter itself is only worth about 2.8% of the play. So a 95% game, you subtract that 2.8%, you're just above 92%. So you need an entry point somewhere where that meter is worth 8% to be at break even, and that's generally when the meter gets to about 9,600. That's the break even point. Now, how far above the break even point does it need to be for you to play? For me, I would say 98, 98.50. That's why I never get a play. Because these guys will play them. Some guys will play them at break even, which is like a 96.20 number. Some people will even play them at 99% just for the comp and free play. And they're running crews on these games, and they're running multiple cards because there's more money in free play in multiple cards than just one person running one card. So I'm a lone wolf. I can't do all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't do it anyway. But that's what's going on with the 10Ks. They got it down to a science, the same as video poker. And this is another thing. I said something about the variance of these 10Ks. You can run, you can make thousands of spins with only a 30% return. That's how much variance there is in the game. You can be 10,000 ahead when you hit it. You can be 30,000 stuck when you hit it. There's a ton of variance. Not every play is a winner, especially if you're playing the low numbers that these crews are playing. So that's why I say you need bankroll in 6 figures to mess with that game.
Mick, you've been interesting as always. We are out of time. We thank you very much for your insight into these games. Your different sort of guests we have here. It's refreshing for a different approach on it. We thank you very, very much. Congratulations on your sobriety, and we wish you continued success.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bob. Good night, and good night, Richard, and thanks for having me on.
All right.
Sure, thank you,
Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.